By noon, the news had already grown legs. It did not walk, it ran. It jumped from mouth to mouth, from shop to shop, from tricycle to tricycle, gathering new clothes as it moved. Miriam was taken. No, it was her brother that was taken. I heard it was 2 people, not 1. They took her at night near the bridge. No, it was early in the morning when the road was still quiet. Each version sounded confident. Each speaker swore they had the source. And with every retelling, the story became louder but never clearer. The truth, as always, was quieter. Miriam had closed her salon the previous evening, swept the hair into a neat pile, locked the door, and waved at the roasted corn woman across the road. She took the familiar route home, the same one she had walked for years. She never reached her gate. Her phone rang unanswered that night. By morning, it rang without ringing at all. And this was not the first. In the past 3 weeks, 3 other people had vanished the same way, not from the same street, not the same age, not the same gender. One was a mechanic, another a schoolgirl, another a delivery rider. Different neighborhoods, different routes, different lives. Yes, they all shared one thing. They stepped out of the city and the city did not give them back. There were no ransom calls, no demands whispered into frightened phones, no bodies washed up in gutters or hidden in abandoned buildings. Just absence, clean, deliberate and terrifying. The kind of absence that leaves shoes by the door. The kind that leaves food half cooked. The kind that turns every knock into a threat. The elders of Abeni City shook their heads when the matter was discussed. This is not ordinary crime, they said. At Idumota Market, beneath umbrellas patched with years of rain and sun, an old spice seller tapped his walking stick on the ground 3 times. His voice dropped to a whisper, the kind meant only for those who still respected old warnings. This is the work of a hungry spirit, they said. When spirits are hungry, they do not eat one thing, they sample. The young men nearby laughed, flexing their arms, mocking the old man's fear. One of them said spirits were stories for people who could not afford sense. But their laughter was thin. It cracked too quickly. It ended too easily. Because in cities like Abeni, even unbelievers lock their doors at night as if they believe something is listening. Dyrus did not like crowds. Crowds were unpredictable. They moved like water without direction, pressing, shouting, changing shape without warning. He preferred things that behaved the same way every day. Things that could be counted, signed and confirmed. Receipts that added up correctly. Delivery notes stamped and returned. The steady smell of fuel in the early morning as it warmed the company van before the city fully woke. There was comfort in routine, in knowing where the road bent, where the potholes hid, and which security men would wave him through without asking questions. Dyrus believed that if you follow patterns, life would behave. His wife, Hassanatu, believed the opposite. She watched the world the way a hawk watched grass, never staring directly, never rushing, but always aware of the smallest movement. She noticed what people forgot and remembered what others dismissed. That evening, they ate quietly. The radio murmured in the background, repeating half-confirmed updates about the missing people. The generator outside coughed, settled and went quiet again. Hassanatu broke the silence. These disappearances are patterned. Dyrus looked up from his plate surprised. He had been hoping the food would end the conversation before it began. Patterned how? He asked, his tone cautious. Hassanatu did not answer immediately. She reached for a piece of meat, turned it slowly, then began to count on her fingers, each tap deliberate. The bridge, the canal road, the back of the old cinema. She looked at him. Places with broken street lights, places where darkness is normal, places the city pretends not to see. Dyrus chewed slowly, the food suddenly heavy in his mouth. He swallowed before speaking. Kidnappers choose dark places, he said, trying to keep the matter practical. It's common sense. Hassanatu met his eyes, and in them there was no excitement, no fear seeking attention, only certainty. No, she said softly. This one is different. She leaned back slightly. This feels like someone is testing the city, testing how fast we panic, how quickly we point fingers, how easily we agree on who to blame. Dyrus opened his mouth to laugh, to brush it off the way men often do when fear wears the face of intelligence. But the laugh did not come, because her voice was not dramatic, it was not shaken, it was calm. And calm fear is the most dangerous kind. He looked away, suddenly aware of the quiet outside, the kind of quiet that listened back. For the first time since the disappearances began, Dyrus felt something shift inside him. A small crack in his trust that order alone could keep them safe. And somewhere in that crack, the city's silence grew louder. The next day, the police announced they had a lead. The word traveled fast, carried by radio jingles, hurried text messages, and the excited voices of people who mistook movement for progress. But in African cities, the word lead does not always mean answers. It does not always mean safety. More often, it means someone is about to suffer so that the city can breathe again. The lead did not begin with evidence. It began with a rumor. Someone said a man had been seen near Miriam's salon on the evening she disappeared. Not touching her, not speaking to her, just present, just nearby, just existing in the wrong place at the wrong time. They described him in pieces, not as a person, a quiet man, a shadow, someone who walked like he had something to hide. Each description sounded harmless on its own. Together, they formed a verdict. Rumor did what it always did best. It chose a face. By afternoon, the city spoke the name as if it had always belonged to the story. As if fate had been waiting for the syllables to line up. Harris. Harris was not famous. He did not argue loudly in bars or borrowed money he could not repay. He did not laugh too much or greet too warmly. But it was noticeable in the way a scar is noticeable. Not because it moves, but because it refuses to disappear. He lived alone in a rented room near the canal road, in a building people avoided because it smelled of damp walls and old regrets. He kept to himself, paid his rent, went to work, returned home. That in Abeni City was already suspicious. And then there was the mark. A thin rope-like line circled one of his wrists, faded but unmistakable. The kind of mark that tells a story, though not the kind people want to hear. Some said it meant he tied people. Others said it meant he had been tied. No one asked which was true. In Abeni City, people do not ask how you got your scars. They ask what they can use them to prove. And soon the city began to feel relieved, because fear is heavy, and nothing lifts fear faster than finding someone to carry it for you. Josh stood near the bridge with the confidence of a man who knew the camera would listen even if people did not. His phone was mounted on a small tripod, angled just enough to capture the broken streetlight behind him. The perfect background for fear. His voice, trained by repetition and reward, carried urgency even when certainty was missing. Breaking updates, he said, eyes fixed on the lens. Sources say the police now have a suspect in the Miriam disappearance case. Residents claim the suspect was seen lurking around the area shortly before she vanished. He paused, letting the words settle. Behind him, people nodded solemnly, their faces serious, their heads moving in agreement like rehearsed actors. Some leaned into the frame deliberately. Others whispered comments loudly enough to be heard. Being part of outrage made them visible, and in cities like Abeni, visibility feels like power. Josh shifted his stance and lowered his voice slightly, as if sharing a dangerous secret meant only for those watching from afar. Some residents also report that the suspect has a visible rope mark on his wrist. He continued, careful to sound measured, possibly linked to restraint or previous criminal activity. He did not say allegedly. He did not say unconfirmed. He let implication do the work. And just like that, a wrist mark became a conviction. By evening, the police called the press to the station. Cameras clicked. Notebooks opened. The city leaned forward. What they presented was called critical evidence. First, a small red scarf sealed in a clear bag. It was held up for the cameras, rotated slowly like an offering. It was found near the canal road, an officer announced, similar to the one the missing woman was known to wear. No one asked what similar meant. Next, a torn receipt from a pharmacy. The paper was creased. The ink faded in places, but one detail stood out clearly: the partial name, H.R. The crowd murmured. Finally, a printed phone call log. It showed a missed call from Miriam's number to a contact saved as her. That was all. No timestamp explanation, no confirmation of phone ownership, no verification of who made the call. But the crowd did not need details. Details slow anger. Evidence, even weak evidence, gives a direction. Outside the station, voices rose and collided. Kidnapper! Bring him out! Burn him! The words bounced off concrete walls, fed by adrenaline and the relief of certainty. In African cities, a mob is a court, and the most favorite sentence is fire. Dyrus watched from a distance, the heat of human certainty pressing against his chest. He did not like Harris. He did not know Harris. Harris had never done him any kindness. Still, something about the speed of the accusation unsettled him. It had moved too fast, settled too easily. Hassanatu noticed the silence. She reached for his wrist and held it gently, firm enough to ground him. Look at them, she murmured, her voice low. See how they are enjoying it. Dyrus followed her gaze. The raised fists, the shouting mouths, the phone recording everything except doubt. They don't want the truth, she continued. They want a villain to carry their fear so they can sleep. Her grip tightened slightly. And once a city chooses its villain, she said, it stops listening to anything else. Somewhere behind the noise, the truth waited, uninvited, unnoticed, and patient. Inside the police station, paperwork moved like slow water. Files slid across desks. Stamps thudded onto forms. Pens stretched names that would soon be forgotten. Phones rang without urgency. Chairs creaked. The air smelled of old paper, sweat, and the faint bitterness of instant coffee. Nothing moved quickly unless it needed to be seen. Harriet sat behind her desk, fingers moving from habit more than intention. She typed names into the system the same way she had for years, steady, efficient, invisible. She was not a hero. She did not imagine herself changing anything. She only believed that small things mattered, even when nobody thanked you for noticing them. When Harris was brought in, she did not look up immediately. She entered his name, age, address, routine. Then her fingers stopped. Under previous record, a line appeared that did not belong to the city the story was. Under previous record, a line appeared that did not belong to the story the city was telling. Victim of abduction, 2022. Harriet blinked once. Then again, victim, she whispered, more to herself than to anyone else. She leaned back slightly and looked up through the bars. Harry sat quietly on the bench, elbows resting on his knees, hands loosely clasped. His shoulders were slumped, not with guilt, but with exhaustion. His eyes were dull in the way eyes become when they have learned that explanation changes nothing. She studied his face carefully. This was not the face she had seen on posters or in tabloids. Not the face of a man enjoying fear. Not the face of someone caught and cornered. It was the face of someone already defeated. Her voice lowered instinctively, as though the walls themselves had ears. This rope mark, she said softly, is from what happened to you? Harris did not answer immediately. He swallowed, his jaw tightening as if the memory had wings. They tied me, he said at last, when I was taken. His eyes stayed on the floor. I escaped, he continued. I didn't report it. When I tried before, police did nothing. The words were simple, unembellished, spoken the way people speak when they are tired of hoping. Something tightened in Harriet's throat. In Abeni City, many people stopped trusting the police the way you stop trusting a leaking roof. Not suddenly, but after being soaked too many times. Before she could respond, a sharp voice cut through the room. Harriet! A senior officer stood nearby, arms folded, eyes flicking toward the olden cell and then toward the camera set up near the entrance. Focus snapped. Public is watching. The words landed heavily. Public is watching. Harriet straightened instinctively. Her fingers returned to the keyboard. The file closed. The moment ended. That sentence was not advice, it was a warning. In that station, it meant something very clear. This was no longer about accuracy, it was about appearance. Public is watching turned questions into delays. It turned doubts into disobedience. It turned truth into performance. Harriet kept typing, her face neutral, her posture correct. But inside her, something had shifted. Because the system had just told her without saying it aloud that the story mattered more than the man. And once a story is chosen, even facts are expected to obey. Outside the station, where Tony moved through the crowd like a man who had found his purpose, he did not stand still. He did not listen. He circled the gathering, waving his arms, clapping his hands, feeding excitement the way a trader feeds a market, loudly and without apology. He danced around the crowd like a man selling fuel to fire. I told you people, he shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. I told you from the beginning. Some heads turned, others leaned in. Look at his face, Tony continued, pointing toward the station entrance as if Harris were on display. You see that face? That is not a clean face. What face? Someone asked, half curious, half amused. Tony did not hesitate. He grinned, enjoying the attention. The face of people that don't greet. The crowd burst into laughter. Men slapped their thighs. Women shook their heads in mock agreement. Someone repeated it louder as if amplifying wisdom. He doesn't greet. That's true. I've seen him pass before. In Abeni City, greeting is not politeness. It is proof of humanity. To fail at it is to invite suspicion. Tony pressed on, encouraged. I'm telling you, he said, lowering his voice dramatically. A man that cannot beat properly, what else can he do? Today he doesn't beat, tomorrow he kidnaps. More laughter followed. And just like that, the laughter became another kind of evidence. Not written, not recorded, but accepted. Because in crowds, jokes do not need to be true. They only need to feel right. Tony's words spread quickly, carried by amusement instead of reason. People repeated them with their own additions, each retelling, sharpening the accusation. He is always quiet. He walks like he's hiding something. I never trusted him. No one mentioned that quiet men also parent. No one mentioned that some people greet softly. No one mentioned that fear makes liars out of memories. The crowd had found something easier than fact. They had found personality as proof. And Tony, satisfied, stepped back to watch the fire grow. His job done, his influence secured. Because in moments like this, it is not the criminal who needs to be convincing. It is the story. That night, the city slept with satisfaction. Doors were locked earlier than usual, but they were locked with relief. Radios murmured in low volume. Phones were set aside. Mothers slept knowing they finally had a name to whisper to fear. They had a suspect. They had someone to hate. They had the illusion of safety. In Abeni City, that was often enough to buy sleep. People told themselves the danger had been contained, that evil had been identified, that tomorrow would be normal again. And like children comforted by a story they wanted to believe, they surrendered to rest. But folk tales do not end when the crowd cheers. They end when the truth steps out from behind the curtain, quiet, patient, and unwelcome. Hassanatu sat on a low wooden bench at Peace Provision Shop, the kind of place where sachet water cooled tempers and gossip came to rest its legs. The generator hummed lazily. A mosquito coil burned in the corner, releasing thin smoke that curled like unanswered questions. People passed, greeting, commenting, repeating what they had heard earlier in the day. Peace was animated, arranging goods, with quick errands and quicker words. Finally, he said with satisfaction, they caught him. That Harris man, he always looks like trouble. Hassanatu did not challenge her. She did not frown. She did not argue. She only asked a question. Peace, she said gently. When Miriam disappeared, what time did they say she closed her salon? He paused, thinking. Around 8 p.m. Some people say 8:30. You know how these things are. Hassanatu nodded slowly as if feeling the answer away. And the pharmacy receipts they showed on the news. She continued, did you notice the timestamp? Peace shrugged. I saw it. Why? It was stamped 6:05 p.m. Peace waved her hand dismissively. So? Hassanatu leaned forward, resting her elbows lightly on her knees. Her voice remained calm, steady enough to feel harmless. That pharmacy is across town, she said. You know the traffic at that hour, from Canal Road to that place? 2 hours on a good day, more if rain threatens. Peace opened her mouth, then closed it. Hassanatu continued, her tone firm but unhurried. So either Harris has wings, or that receipt was planted. Silence stretched between them, thin but heavy. Peace swallowed. But the call log, she said quickly. The call log showed his name. Hassanatu raised one finger, not to silence her but to slow her. Call logs can be faked, she said, or phones can be used by people who are not the owners. Peace's eyes widened, her excitement dimming into discomfort. Are you saying the police is lying? Hassanatu did not answer directly. She looked around the shop, the listening walls, the passing feet, the unguarded ears. and then said quietly, "I am saying the city is rushing." This stared at her, the certainty she had carried all day beginning to feel heavier than before. Outside, the city slept. Inside, the truth waited. Back at the station, Harriet returned to the evidence file, not out of curiosity but duty. Filing had to be done properly, names aligned, dates confirmed, descriptions matched. That was how the system pretended to be clean. The station was quieter now. The crowd had thinned. The cameras were gone. Only the hum of the ceiling fan and the distant clatter of a typewriter broke the silence. This was the hour when truth sometimes surfaced, not because it was invited, but because no one was watching closely enough to stop it. Harriet opened the file again. She lifted the clear evidence bag containing the scarf and held it up under the fluorescent light. According to the label, it belonged to Miriam. According to the press briefing, it had been found near the canal road. According to the city, it sealed the story. But Harriet's eyes lingered. In the missing persons report, Miriam's closest friend had described the scarf carefully. Harriet remembered typing it herself. Deep wine color, almost purple under low light. Harriet looked back at the scarf in the bag. It was bright red, not wine, not dark, not ambiguous, bright, clear and unmistakable. The kind of red that announces itself even from a distance. She stared at it longer than necessary, her fingers tightening slightly around the plastic. She tilted it, letting the light fall differently, hoping perhaps that angle will explain the difference. It did not. The scarf remained red. Harriet exhaled slowly. She placed the scarf down and reached for the receipt next. The torn piece of paper that had excited the crowd more than any fingerprint could. At first glance, it looked ordinary, crumpled, creased. Important only because someone said it was. But Harriet did not look for drama, she looked for alignment. She traced the torn edge with her eyes, then noticed something beneath it, something faint, almost erased. A partial logo. Not the pharmacy's logo, she frowned. She pulled the reference file from the drawer and compared it. The pharmacy's receipt had the clear watermark pattern, repeating diagonally across the paper. This one did not. What Harriet saw instead was the corner of a different mark, a curve, a symbol, something that belonged to another store entirely. A stomach sank, which meant the receipt might not even be from that pharmacy, which meant the evidence had either been misunderstood or moved or placed. Harriet leaned back in her chair, the weight of the file suddenly heavier than paper should be. No alarms went off. No dramatic realizations struck her like lightning. Just a quiet, steady certainty settling into her chest. This story did not fit itself. And in that moment, the old folktale lesson returned, not spoken aloud, but remembered with clarity. When the goat disappears, do not first accuse the rope. Harriet closed the file carefully. Outside, the city believed it had found its answer. Inside the station, a woman who was not a hero began to understand how easily answers are chosen and how dangerous that choice can be.
I am not the one. We will keep you updated.
If the police wanted truth, they would ask different questions. This is not her scarf.
Keep them busy with the wrong man.